Hello and welcome back to the channel. Amber here, and today we are digging deep into the most dangerous weapon in the Wheel of Time, Balefire. A weapon that doesn't just kill, but erases threads of the pattern. So why was it used? Why did everyone fear it? And where did it even come from? As always, give this video a like, and to not miss out on other news and discussions, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. This video is relatively spoiler-free, but we'll go into the logistics of how Balefire works. So let's dive into it. Balefire is another weave of the one power, but it's a weave that burns a thread from the pattern. That thread might be a person, a building, or anything else. But the terrifying part is that it doesn't just destroy, it erases the target and the threads of the pattern that the target touches. Like in the television series, when Jean strikes the ceiling of the Panarch's palace and she is balefired right afterwards, the damage is undone. It's like nothing ever happened to the ceiling. So let's get into some background here. To understand everything we want to know about Balefire, we have to go back to its origins and why it came to be. And this event is called the War of Power. We see the precursor to the War of Power in episode 4 of the Wheel of Time TV series. Lanfear drills a hole in the pattern to access a new power. Instead, she touches the Dark One's prison, and his influence spreads slowly at first, corrupting society over time. And over the next 100 years or so, society collapses. Crime rose, violence became normal, and people started openly joining the shadow. We see a time of peace, harmony, and balance move into a time of hostility and aggression. And then the war actually begins. Armies loyal to the shadow started attacking, and powerful Aes Sedai of this time joined the Dark One. We know them as the Forsaken. But the War of Power didn't come out of nowhere. It followed an age of incredible scientific discovery, technological growth, and powerful magic. Channelers were stronger than ever, and the world was full of breakthroughs. In that kind of environment, it's no surprise that something like Balefire was created. We don't know who invented it, but it's essentially a product of its time. It was used to burn enemies off the battlefield. But the side effects were too extreme. In the end, both sides agreed to stop using it, and Balefire was banned. It's a little bit like the nuclear weapon of the War of Power. Devastatingly effective, but too dangerous to continue using. Like nuclear disarmament, both sides eventually agreed to stop using it before they destroyed everything. Because even war has limits, when the cost is the world itself. And this is why the White Tower forbids teaching it, and why even the Forsaken are hesitant to use it, because they, for the most part, want the Dark One to win the last battle so they can rule over the new world. If the pattern falls apart, there's nothing to rule over. And to really explain why Balefire is so dangerous, we have to get into the really nerdy aspects and the physics of it all. And friends, I am not a scientist. I'm borderline math blind. I'm just a girl talking about books. But I'm going to do my best here to break this down in the easiest way to understand it. So imagine the pattern is like a giant blanket made of threads. Each thread is a person's life, and the blanket tells the story of the whole world from beginning to end, what happened, who did what, and when. And Balefire is like a fire that burns backwards in time. If you hit a thread, a person with it, that thread burns out. But here's the problem. When you burn a thread, it messes up all the other threads that touched it. Let's say someone gave a message, or saved a life, or made a choice. and then Balefire erases them. They no longer ever existed, and it erases the choices and moments that the person touched or affected. Now all the connected threads are tangled and broken. The blanket, aka the fabric of reality, starts falling apart. It's too powerful and too messy. Another way to look at it is somewhat similar to the grandfather paradox. If you've watched Back to the Future, you get the idea. The grandfather paradox says if you go back in time and stop your grandfather from meeting your grandmother, you'll never be born. But if you're never born, you couldn't go back and stop him. It's a loop that doesn't make sense. But Balefire doesn't create loops. Instead, it erases causes but leaves effects, at least briefly. So if someone mailed you a letter and you Balefire them back far enough, that letter was never sent because the person never existed in that moment. Everything that person touched also changes. You've now messed with dozens of threads, not just one. The pattern can't keep up with the rewrites, and it starts to break reality. If enough Balefire is used, it can destroy large chunks of the pattern, and the wheel of time would literally stop turning. And there are some rules and limits to using Balefire. Because it needs a lot of power, only strong channelers can cast it. And the stronger they are, the bigger the blast. Some channelers can produce only a finger-thin stream, while others can create a stream as wide as a human body. In the television show, we see Jean using a rare terangrial to make Balefire. And just like it states in the books, this terangrial is nearly impossible to control. There may be a reason Elaine succeeded where Jean failed, but I'll get into that in another video. And Balefire is one of those concepts that fans of the Wheel of Time have spent decades theorizing about. Some people think if one were to Balefire Heroes of the Horn, they can't be called again in that turning of the wheel because they were burned out of time itself. But since souls return, maybe they come back eventually in another age. Some fans wonder if some of the ghostly sightings in the series are due to Balefire, that if you Balefire someone hard enough, their echo might still haunt the pattern, like a glitch, and these ghostly figures are just the remnants of overburned souls. And before the series was finished, fans theorized what happens if two streams of Balefire collided. Some guessed it could cause a tear in the pattern and erase both channelers, or even cause a time anomaly. There are also a couple fun facts about Balefire that I think are worth sharing. One is that Balefire doesn't erase a soul forever. Author Robert Jordan said Balefire stops the Dark One from bringing someone back, but the wheel can still spin their soul out again. So it's not the true death, just a very permanent one in that life. Someone once asked Robert Jordan if the Dark One could be Balefired. He answered with a single word, no. That's it. End of story. One of my favorite concepts is called the Balescream. When a massive blast of Balefire is used, the pattern literally screams. Someone will actually hear the sound of reality groaning as the pattern tries to rewrite itself. Another thing to think about is that the Wheel of Time is a story about balance. If someone can use a weave to destroy a thread from the pattern, there's always a chance that someone could discover a way to mend the pattern, a way to heal it. And lastly, Balefire can be diverted, but it's very, very, very rare. I will add that in every case that this happens, the outcome is very cool. I won't spoil it for anyone who hasn't read the books, but if you have, you know what I'm talking about. The biggest takeaway is that Balefire isn't just a weapon, it's a warning, and a story built on threads of fate. Pulling one too hard can unravel everything, and that's why even the darkest forces treat it with caution. So let me know what you think in the comments, and if you want more Wheel of Time lore, don't forget to subscribe. Special thanks to my newest channel members, Big Boss, KIzzy, Nikola, James, and Natasha. This one's for you, and to all my channel members, I hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll see you back next time.